Hey guys, and welcome back to World War II Solitaire board game channel. So today we're finally gonna be playing free Squadron. I know many of you guys have been expecting this one and have requested this one, so I'm finally gonna get to it. Since this is our first time playing the game, I'm also briefly gonna show you how to set up the game, and keep in mind that this setup is from a solitaire perspective, since this is a solitaire channel. So the first thing you're going to do obviously is going to lay out the map, which is in two pieces. So you'll lay out that on your table, and then we have a turn marker which we will place in the number 1 position. After we have done that, we're going to take our assembled pilot cards. 4 of these are included in the game. You have to put these meters together with arrows, and we're gonna need 2 of these because when we play solo we will have a leader and a wingman, and there's 2 meters on this guy, and the left one is for your specialization. We're not going to be using this one in the first mission, so you don't have to bother with that one. But the second one is the ammo, and that will always start on 4 unless differently stated on the scenario. So both of these, place them out with the ammunition at 4. Once you place them out, you are going to have to go ahead and decide what color you want to have for your pilots. I've decided that this pilot is going to be a blue pilot. So we will take the 5 blue damage cubes, put next to the pilot card. And then we have our damage tokens. There should be 4 of those in each color. And I like the game setup tells you to put them next to your pilot board, but I like to have them on and then just flip them when I take damage. And for the wingman, I've decided to use the yellow color, so the same thing goes for him. Take out his damage cubes, which are for when you cause damage on Luftwaffe planes. And then take out your damage markers, and I like to set them down there. And again, keep the ammo at 4. So once we've done that, we're gonna assign our pilots, and you will take your pilot deck, which means all of the pilot cards, and you are just gonna go ahead and shuffle them, and then you will remove, again this is in solitaire, you will remove all but 3 of them and put the other pilots back in the box, and you will draw the top 2 cards. So we have Sumbach and Kent, and Sumbach has the ability, when you draw cards during player phase, you may draw 1 more than normal. Your hand size limit is +1 than specified in the normal rules. And then we have Kent. During combat, the pilots in this area can re-roll the RAF dice, that's our attack dice, as many times as there are pilots in the area. So both of these are quite powerful. However, we have to decide one of them is going to be our leader and one of them is going to be our wingman. And the wingman can't use the ability. I'm gonna go ahead and choose Sumbach. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus back here on the board. So Sumbach is gonna be my leader, and Kent is gonna be my wingman. And then we have a 3rd pilot here, which we haven't looked at. So you shouldn't look at the discarded cards either, because we aren't supposed to know which one this is. And this is our reserve in case one of our guys withdraw from combat, or if one of my guys are shut down. And you might wonder now, so what is the reason to have Kent? What is the reason to have an assigned pilot to the wingman if he cannot use his pilot ability. Well, the thing is, if my leader pilot gets shot down or if he withdraws from combat, my wingman becomes a new leader. So once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and take your action cards and shuffle them. And the hand size is a little bit different for the solitaire game. For the wingman, the hand size is always 4. So we're going to go ahead and take 4 cards and put next to the wingman. And for our pilot, our leader, the hand size is always his current ammo, which is currently 4, plus 3. So that makes 7. So 3 for his plus 3 and 4 for his ammo. So we have 7 cards here, 7 action cards. Let's put these over here not to confuse our hands. And then you have your action cards, and let's find an appropriate place to have them. Okay, so we're going to have our action cards over here, and then we're going to have our discard pile next to that. And we need to take all of our dice and put them next to the board. The blue and yellow ones are for us. The black, red, and white are for the Germans. And then we're going to go ahead and take our markers, our maneuver, I guess I should call them tokens. So our maneuver tokens. We also have medal tokens with 1 medal on one side, 2 medals on the other. They're not going to really be used for the first mission, but you might as well just make a habit of putting them out. Then we're going to go ahead and put our helper cards out, and your helper cards are going to be a little bit dependent on the scenario that you play. For this scenario, we're going to be playing with the Messerschmitt 109, the Henkel Bomber, and the Messerschmitt 110. Anyway, there are just 2 helper cards and they're double-sided, so I always just put them out to have them accessible. And then you're going to go ahead and put out your mission card. So for this mission, we're playing training. And keep in mind, this is just a helper card. You are going to have to have the companion book nearby, because you are going to have to reference that as you set up the mission. But what we have done now, this part that we have set up, this is the setup that you will do for each and every game that you play. So from this point on, there are going to be scenario specific setup parts. But the thing we did now is going to be done every game. So this the first minutes of this video, it's important that you understood everything, but I don't think it's very hard. So let's move on now to the setup, the scenario specific setup of our training missions. So I'm going to show you a picture here of the companion book, of this specific mission in the companion book. So we can see here that we are playing the first mission, which is the training mission. We can also see that they write here, we strongly recommend you to play this scenario as your first game. We can see here, first of all, that we have 7 turns. That's also on our helper card here. So keep in mind that you have to achieve your mission within 7 turns. There is some historical background here to the scenario, which I will not read out loud. We look here at our training card. And like I said, there's the historical background, which you can read for yourself. We have a description here, which is also pretty much historical background. But the relevant thing here that we need to see is, first of all, of course, the turns, which we spoke of, but the RAF goal, which is our mission. So our mission for this game is to shoot down 2 Henkel 111s, 1 BF 110, and 2 BF 109. Once we have completed that mission, we won the game. The second part of important information is the RAF start, which we can see here is A6. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go ahead and take out 2 Hurricane planes. And again, these are going to be in your player colors. So we have 1 blue for our leader, and then we have 1 yellow for our wingman. And remember, it told us that the starting place for the RAF is A6, and we have A6 over here. So we can see those numbers on the map. The next important information from the scenario is events. So this is a simplified scenario. There are no events in this scenario. I'm gonna do another video of this game with the second mission where we have where we have events as well. But for this video, we're just playing the training scenario, so we're gonna focus on the main parts of the game, and we'll get to the events later on in another video. And the next part is deployment. And deployment is the second and last part, which is simplified in this scenario. So both events and deployment are simplified. There are no events, and deployments will usually be done by deployment cards. And I'm not going to speak about that any further. I am going to cover that in my next video. So for this video, we're just going to follow the scenario description, which is rather simple. As you can see here on the training helper in the scenario book, it tells us that the first turn there's going to spawn group A, and there's going to be 2 BF 110s on D3. The second turn we're going to have group B spawning, and I can't remember what this is called, the first which you have on the phone, the symbol. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a little square. Anyway, it says where the square is the number of players, but that's incorrect. It should say where the square is the number of pilots. So we should have 2 here. So 2 BF 109s on D4. And the third turn we have group C, square -1, so 2 pilots -1, that's 1. So 1 BF 109 plus 2 Henkel 111 on E6. So those are going to be our spawning groups. And again, you're going to want to do this color coded. So we have our turn A. These are the BF 110s, and we have chosen gray stands for them. So we put them here. And then our second groups, that's going to be that's going to be 2 BF 109s, so 2 Messerschmitts, and I have chosen orange for them. So I'll put them behind group A. And then the final group is going to be 1 Messerschmitt BF 109 and 2 bombers, 2 Henkel. I don't know if that's correct pronouncement. And I've chosen the color black for them. And I'm gonna tell you in a moment why you should choose a specific color for these 3 groups. But before we get into that, we look at the next information that we see here on the compendium page 7, which dissects the training mission. We can see that the Luftwaffe goal is to reach Rochester. Rochester is over here. If the Luftwaffe enters that area, we have lost the game. Luftwaffe starts on D3, D4, and E6. And now comes the important part, the Luftwaffe routes. And this is the reason why we want to have our groups color-coded. So group A, which are gray in color, will go from D3 to B3 to B4. And they will do this in a loop, meaning that they're going to go that way and then they're going to turn back and they're just going to go back and forwards. So we have 3 markers in gray color to mark out their route. So first we need to locate D3, which we have over here. And then we need to find D4. And let's see where we have D4. Where is D4? I'm sure someone here is D4. Okay, so let's see. Did we say D3 to D4? That sounds strange. No, D3 to B3. I'm sorry. So D3 to B3, and then finally to B4. So in the last one, we put one of these kind of crooked arrows to show that he will go back, since it's in a loop. And that's group A. Then we have group B, and group B have orange color. So group B will start on D4. That's D4. And then they will go to D1. That's D1. And then they will go to C4. See, can I get a C4? Here we have C4. So we'll kind of go this kind of way. And then we have finally group C, which will not go in a loop. They are black color and they are heading for Rochester. So we can see here they will go from E6, that's their starting location. See, can I get an E6? Where is E6? Here's E6. And then they will head into D2 to B2. And finally they will arrive in Rochester. And that's when the game is going to be lost. So now we have finished the setup, finally. And we are ready to start playing. Okay, so let's bring out this little dice tower here. And the first thing we're going to do now, since we are in turn 1, is place out group A. And remember, they will start on D3. So they are starting all the way over here. Those are our Messerschmitt's heavy fighters, Messerschmitt BF 1010s. Remember our mission. We need to shoot down 2 Heinkel 111, one of these BF Messerschmitt 1010s, and 2 BF 109s. So that's our mission. So right now, in the first turn, those are the only guys we got. So I'm thinking perhaps I want to head over there and take those guys out. So in each turn, you have 1 point of free movement. So these guys can go one area for free. And they can even go one area into 2 separate areas. They don't have to stay together. If we want to go further than that, we can spend our action cards. So on our action cards, there is a lot of stuff going on. And I don't want to overwhelm you because there's a lot of stuff going on here, but let's start with this part of the card. That is, you can play that to get extra movement points. So we can see here, that's going to give us +1, that's going to give us +3. We need to get over to D3, so we need to move 1 for free and then 2 extra movement points. So we need to find a card which has 2 of those arrows or free. So okay, so the ones are not going to be enough. So we're going to have to spend one of these with the 2 arrows. And then you kind of want to look at the card effect, because you don't want to spend a card which you think, oh, this is a really good card. And I think this one is, the effect of that one is not an effect that I like especially much. I don't think I have any use of that. So I'm going to go ahead and spend that card. I'll put that in the discard pile over here. And that means I can go for a total of 4 areas. However, my guys are only going 1, 2, 3. Another thing to note here is that the wingman can follow the leader for free if they stay together. So he can take advantage of that free movement. So it's, when you're playing solo anyway, it's always good to stay together. There are going to be specific situations where you might want to split up, but most of the times you're going to want to stick together. One thing that we should actually have done before we started moving is taking a choice. That's what you do always. The first thing you do is taking a choice with your pilot, if you want to use his ability or not. Because if you use his ability, we have the ability when you draw cards during the player phase, you draw 1 more than normal. Your hand size limit is +1 than specified in normal rules. If you want to use the ability of your leader, you turn the card like this. But in this case, I didn't do that. So I haven't used his ability. And that means I'm allowed to roll the yellow die. And what that means, we're going to get to now, because we're going to have combat. Again, your wingman cannot use his pilot ability. However, he can always use the yellow die. And that's going to come in handy now, because now we're going to have combat. So combat always starts with your leader. So my leader, which is the blue one, is going now to engage one of the Messerschmitt's BF-110s. And let me show you the helper card here for that one. Okay, so we have our first combat here between my leader Sambach versus one of these heavy fighters, the Messerschmitt BF-110. We can see here on the helper card of the BF-110s that it's a heavy fighter. We can see the toughness. It's looks like a square with 2 hits in it, and that means that it only has 1 square, so it only has 1 health point. However, to damage that health point, we need to do 2 hits. So 1 hit is never enough. 1 hit is going to be wasted. We need to do 2 hits to this little bird to bring it down. Luckily, it only has 1 health point. We're going to see with the bombers later on, it has 3 health points, and one of those are one of those 2 hit boxes. So we need to take out the dice now for ourselves and for this heavy fighter. So usually the RAF will have 2 blue dice, but this time, since we did not use our ability, we are allowed to use one of these yellow dice instead, and that's what we're going to do with our leader. Then we're going to bring out the dice for our German, and we can see here on the helper card that we're supposed to have 1 red and 1 white, and then we need a black die for each BF-110 on this area. So there's going to be a black die. The ability, counterattack, bombing, and the movement value isn't really relevant for this phase, so we're going to ignore that for now. So about the RAF die, it has 3 different results. It has the maneuver result, and we're going to discuss that further if we get to it. We have the hit, and we have the evade, which lets me ignore 1 Luftwaffe hit. And the yellow one has, on 5 sides, it has the thumbs up, which means that I can choose the symbol. I can choose a hit, an evade, whatever I want. And then it has one side with 2 stars, and that means 2 hits. So anyway, we're gonna start now by rolling all of our dice, and we're gonna have to reroll one of them. Okay, so we actually did roll pretty good here. We got 2 blanks for the Luftwaffe, which means nothing happens at all. And then we got 1 hit. And for us, we got a maneuver symbol and we got a thumbs up, which means we get to choose the symbol that we want to use. So now I have to decide which card, or if I want to play a card with these. I don't necessarily have to, but I want to. So I've decided that I want to play this card, and I'm going to bring this up on the screen. And we can see here that the card ability is for each maneuver token, apply 1 hit before considering the dice results of the Luftwaffe. So of course I'm going to use my maneuver token. I could have used my yellow one as well. That would have been, I could say that I want that to act as a maneuver token or a maneuver symbol. So anyway, for each, again, maneuver, apply 1 hit before considering die results of Luftwaffe. So we get 2 hits on this guy. And if you remember from the helper card, the Messerschmitt's Bf 110 has only 1 hit point, and we need to get 2 hits to bring him down that hit point. So we have actually effectively destroyed our first plane. And by just spending 1 card, I might add. So I think that is rather impressive. We take this card and we put it in the discard pile. And then we go ahead and roll again, because we have a second combat here between my wingman, Kent, who will fire at the second Bf 110. So this time for the German, we are gonna take away the black one, because again, from the helper card, we see that the heavy fighters Bf 110s only get a black dice for each other Bf 110s on the area. So this time he will only have a red and a white die. And then for our guy, we can choose if we want to have 2 blue or 1 blue and a yellow. This time we're not going to push our luck, so we're going to use 2 blue dice. So we're going to go ahead and roll. And we have a good result again. The German has 1 hit, 1 blank. We have 1 hit, 1 avoid. So basically, let's see, let's take a moment, look at our cards. Remember, our wingman only has 4 cards. So for the first combat turn, I am just going to play a die. I'm not going to play any combat cards. And remember that you can only play 1 die for each turn. And we're going to get to the second combat turn now, so you're going to see how that works. Because I avoid the hit done by the German, so I don't have to worry about that hit, because I played the avoid die. And the German now gets to reroll, and that's how it works every time. I still have my 2 die, and this one is played in the first round, but it's also counted in the second combat round. And the second German roll is even worse for the German. It's 2 blanks. So this time I am gonna go ahead and play an action card. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this card. Let me bring it up to you on the screen. And we can see here that the card ability for each hit die gain a hit or an avoid. So I'm gonna go ahead and use now my second die. So I will get a maneuver symbol, but I'm not gonna take it because I can't use it. I can use that to delay planes, but there's no more planes. I can use it to break away from combat, but there's not gonna be any more planes to break away from. So I'm gonna ignore that maneuver token for now. However, we do have 1 hit here, and then Again, for each hit, the ability of the card, gain, hit, or avoid. So that is 2 hits, and that means the second plane is now brought down by my pilots. So far so good. Remember to spend 1 ammunition when you engage in combat. So both my leader and my wingman goes from 4 to 3 in ammunition. And this is the end of the turn. We have successfully taken out the first group of Germans. So we put our turn marker on the second turn, and we go ahead and spawn now our second group of Germans, which are 2 Messerschmitt fighters spawning here, which will go in a loop over here. One thing to note is that when fighters are not together with a bomber, they will be in something called patrol mode, and that means they will follow their current track unless there is an RAF force adjacent or in the same area. So if my guys ever get adjacent, these guys are gonna head for them instead of following their patrol track. So now it's the time to decide if we want to use our leader's ability. Again, his ability is to increase his hand size by 1 and draw 1 more action card. So for this turn, we're going to go ahead and use that ability, and we will turn our pilot card. When we have done that, we need to draw cards, and I should actually have done this for the first round as well. So as you draw your starting hand, you look at your starting hand, and then you will draw 1 additional card for the wingman, 3 additional cards for your leader, and then you will look at your 2 hands and see if there are any cards that you want to change. So again, for our wingman, our hand size is 4, so he has only used 1 card, so he's now up to 4. It doesn't matter how much ammunition he spent, he will always have a hand size of 4. But you need to keep track of the ammunition, because if the ammunition ever reaches 0, you cannot engage in combat, meaning you're gonna have to go and land on an airfield and resupply. Now for our leader. So our leader has a hand size of 3 plus his current ammo. His current ammo is currently 3. So his hand size is going to be 6. But we have used his ability, increasing our hand size by 1 and increasing the number of cards that we draw by 1. Let me look at that. Yes, right. So I should actually draw 4 cards now instead of 3, and that is because of the leader's ability. So my hand size will be 3 plus 3 plus 1, so it will be 7. I currently have 5 cards on my hand, so I get to choose from 4 of these cards. I'm going to go ahead and choose these 2, and these remaining cards I'm going to go ahead and discard. So I should have 7 cards now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's good. And that is the end of the preparation phase and card draw phase. So now we go to the movement phase. Remember, we have 1 area of free movement each turn, so we can move for free to this area, but I want to intercept these fighters. So we need to look at our hand. Do we have a card, which we don't really need, with 1 extra movement? Okay, so I've found a card that I don't particularly fancy, so I'm going to go ahead and discard this card, and that will give us 1 additional movement as that card. Again, you have to look at the arrow up here. There's 1 arrow, so that is 1 extra movement. So we get to reach the BF 109s, and that means we're going to have combat now. Okay, so one thing I do recommend that you do straight away as you engage in combat is to straight away go ahead and make 1 less ammunition so you don't forget it, because that is very easy to forget. So we will engage, you always engage with your leader first. So my leader engages and lowers his ammunition count from 3 to 2. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and take a look now at the BF-109 helper card. We can see that the toughness of this guy, he has 1 more health point. He has 2 health points. However, this is a light fighter, or an ordinary fighter, so he only needs 1 hit for each health point. So he also will be down by 2 hits. He will roll 2 red dice. So no black, no white. So this time we can only roll our blue dice. We cannot roll any yellow since we have chosen to use our leader's ability, pilot ability. So we go ahead and roll the dice. Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, so we roll the same. I roll hit and evade, and so does the German. Remember though that the German gets to use both of his dice. I only get to use 1. So now I need to look at my cards and see if there's something I can do to get the upper hand here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this card. And with this card, the ability doesn't matter, but I get a hit symbol. So that's 1 hit. Then I'm going to use my first die. So that is 2 hits. Remember, your second die is not used in the first phase of combat. And that means I have 2 hits. However, this guy has 1 avoid. So I kind of need 1 more hit. I also need an avoid because he has 1 hit. So what I'm going to do here now is ask my co-pilot for help. Because these symbols that you see up here in the middle, those are support symbols. And they can be combined together to gain that symbol. You can only do that once in every combat, and so you cannot do it 2 times, for example, in 2 combat turns. And for this one, we're going to use the evade, which we see on our combat card. Our co-pilot or our wingman gives us this card, which also has the void symbol, and then it has the joker. The joker is the circle. The circle can be combined with anything, and you need 3 of these symbols to gain that symbol. So we have 2 hits and 1 evade, which we get from the support of our wingman. So we do 1 hit to the 109, so we're going to go ahead and take 1 of our damage cubes and mark that up. The second hit he avoids by rolling this. And we avoid his hit with our support that we get from the wingman. So now we're going to go ahead and re-roll the German's dice for our second turn of combat, and it's an avoid and 1 blank. We also have an avoid for this turn, and we get to use this symbol and the die from the first combat turn. What we don't get to use is the support we got from the first turn, and we also don't get to use the ability from the card from the first turn. But we do get to use the first turn's die and the first turn symbol from the action card. So we effectively now have 2 hits and 1 avoid. The avoid we don't need because the German did not get a hit. However, we do need the 2 hits to bring this guy down because he has an avoid. So we do 1 additional hit, and that is enough to take down this guy. So remember our mission. We need to take down 2 BF-109s. So we are going to go, our wingman is going to go for the second target as well, and hope that we can bring him down. I'm going to go ahead and discard these cards. Okay, so we will roll again, and our wingman is going to roll a yellow die, and the 109 is going to get to roll, as per standard, 2 red ones. Okay, So we have a good roll for the German again, and I rolled good. I did not get an explosion, which is 2 hits. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this card. I'm not gonna use the ability, however I will use the symbol, which is a hit, and then I'm gonna use the evade symbol here to evade the hit from the German. So basically the first combat round is wasted. I don't do a hit on the German because he has an avoid, and he doesn't do a hit on me because I have an avoid. So we will take his die and we will re-roll them for our second combat turn. And for our second combat turn, the German does a little bit worse. He gets 1 avoid. So that means I have 2 hits now. I will use this one as a hit, but I need to do 1 more hit to bring this guy down. So I need to decide, do I want to play another action card? However, my 2 remaining action cards for the wingman do not have any possibility to get an additional hit. However, I can go ahead and use support from my leader, and as you can see here from the combination, we have a hit, a joker, and another hit. That is going to be another hit. Okay, so I just browse the rules real quickly, and you're not allowed to use the support from the card. So we're going to do it simple, we're going to do it the right way. I am going to go ahead and play a second action card and combine that. So we played it the right way because I want to teach you how to play this game correctly. So we used a second action card. We don't care about the symbol, we don't care about the ability. We just want to have that support, so we can get the support from our leader to get 1 additional hit. That additional hit is going to bring down this last one, because then we have 1, 2, 3 hits. He has 1 avoid, so he takes 2 hits, and we have now completed our mission regarding fighters. Now the only thing we need to bring down are 2 Heinkel 111 bombers. Right, so again, don't forget to spend 1 ammunition as you engage in combat. We now have 2 ammunition left, so we can do two more turns of combat. So I think we can finish this training mission without actually having to land and reload. Okay, so that is the end of the turn. We have eliminated all the Germans again. I think we're doing pretty good. So we go ahead and advance the turn marker. Again, we have to make a decision. Do we want to use our pilot's ability or not? Yes, we do. We want to use the pilot's ability, so he's gonna stay that way. So now instead of drawing 3 cards for him, we're gonna draw 4 cards. But you always start by drawing cards for the wingman. So we draw 1 card for him, and then we draw 4 cards for our guy. And we now have 2 in ammunition. 2 plus 3, that's 5, plus 1 because of the ability. We can have 6 cards. So I have to discard 2 of these cards. Or 2, it can be any 2 actually. It can be 2 from my current hand as well. Okay, so I have chosen my 6 cards. And I will go ahead and discard 2 cards. And now we have the third turn, so we will spawn our Germans. We have 2 big bombers and 1 fighter escorting them. They are spawning on E6, and remember, if they reach Rochester, we are out of the game. There's not even going to be any sequence for bombing. We simply would have lost. So for us to reach that area, I am going to have to do 1 additional movement. So I am going to go ahead and use up one of my cards with 1 arrow. I'll go ahead and discard that to give me 1 additional movement. So we have our free movement over here, and then our additional movement moving into the area. So now the question is, do I want to engage the bombers first, or do I want to engage the fighter first? I think actually I am gonna go ahead and engage the bombers first. So my leader is engaging the first bomber, and you will see the helper card up here. The Henkel, which is a bomber. The toughness, it has 3 hit points. The first and the third, we need only 1 hit. And the second, we need 2 hits to do 1 damage. It will roll 2 black dice in combat, +1 for each pair of these bombers on this area. So he's gonna have a third. He's gonna have a third black die. So we need to roll some combat dice again. So we're gonna go ahead now and roll 3 black dice for our enemy. And our pilot, as you know, we used our leader ability or our pilot ability, so we cannot use any yellow die for this battle, so we will simply use 2 blue. And a good roll for us. Only 1 hit, and we get 1 hit and 1 maneuver symbol. So the maneuver symbol can be put on a German airplane, and if you don't bring that airplane down during the German movement phase, it's not going to move. And instead spend that maneuver token. So it's a good way to delay bombers to reach their target. You can also use it on fighters. Okay, so I have to decide now which card I want to play, and I feel like I am actually gonna have to, for the first time of this game, I am gonna have to take a hit. Ooh, I actually don't have to. I have a solution to this problem. Okay, so I will play this action card. And you can see here on the ability of this card, if I can get my camera to focus, I'm going to bring it up on the screen instead. But we can see here that this action cards, we have 1 hit symbol, then we gain another one from the ability, and each maneuver token cancels, it cancels 1 from the Luftwaffe. I actually thought it would give me 1. Okay, so that's incorrect. So I need to see, do I want to use this card or not? No, I want to use another card. So I have another card here that I want to use. For each set of maneuver symbol and hit, gain 1 avoid. So of course I'm going to go ahead and use my avoid die, and I get 1 hit, 1 maneuver die, not avoid die, 1 maneuver, and for each set of maneuver and hit, gain 1 avoid. So I also gain 1 avoid, and that's really cool. Okay, so the hit, my second hit here is not counted. Remember, you only use your first die in your first round of combat, and the hit here from the German is taken away by the ability of the card. I, however, score 1 hit on this German, so I put 1 of these on his plane. Okay, also please again remember to decrease your ammo. So we have decreased now to 1 ammo. So we only have 1 ammo left. So let's look at what happens in the second combat round here. Oh, still a pretty good roll. Only 1 hit from Herman's German. So we're gonna go ahead and use our second hit, second die. So we now have 2 hits, but we need 3 hits to bring this guy down. So I am gonna go ahead and play another card. Let's see. Okay, so I play another card here. You should actually put it kind of overlapping the other card's ability so that you can see that you shouldn't use that ability. So I now have 1, 2, 3 hits. That is enough to bring that plane down. However, I am going to get I am going to get hit from this. I get a maneuver symbol, by the way, which I'm going to keep on my pilot's card because I'm not going to use it since I'm bringing that plane down. But I am going to go ahead and have to take one hit. So let's bring the pilot thing up here and turn one of these. Ooh. So I got a cross, or I guess that's an X. And what that does, it cancels my 3 moves. And again, if I get 4 hits, that means I'm taken down. But anyway, I think I'm not going to move any further, so I think that cancelled move is actually a pretty good deal. And anyway, that is the end of that, because that brings down that big bird. And that means I'm going to go ahead and discard this card. And that means it's time now for my wingman to shine. He's going to target the second bomber. So the second bomber, he's only going to get to roll 2 black d10, since there's no pairs of Hinkle's 1/1s in the area. However, he's going to go ahead and use his yellow die. So let's go ahead and roll for the first round of combat. Okay. Pretty good deal. Let's see here what we want to do. I only have 2 cards left on my hand, unfortunately. And they're not very good. So we're going to see how we can solve this. I think I'm going to have to play this card. So for each hit, gain another hit or an avoid. So I'm going to go ahead and play a hit card. Sorry, the yellow die, which will be a hit. And that is going to be a hit, so I will gain an avoid. So I'm not going to take the hit from that German. And that means I'm not going to be able to bring this bird down for this in this combat, but that's going to be okay. I can do it. I have several more turns to do so. I also have a maneuver. This time we are going to use that maneuver token, so I'm going to put that on the German bomber, which I am engaging. And again, I'm not going to take a hit from the German since I get the ability from the card. So for our second turn, we're going to go ahead and re-roll the German dice, and this time we get 2 blanks, so that's cool. And this time I'm not going to be able to do anything pretty much because I only have 1 card left and it doesn't do anything. The ability I cannot use, and there's no hits from either support. Okay, well, that's his card. Oh yeah, right. And I think, yeah, okay, I could perhaps do that. Okay, so I think I am going to go ahead and play this card then. And which gives me another maneuver symbol, which I'm going to go ahead and put on that bomber. And then I'm going to go ahead and play, my leader is going to support him by playing this card. And you can see now we have 4 symbols here. 1 avoid, 2 jokers, and 1 hit. Of course, we're going to use the hit. So we have 1 hit here, and then another hit from this one. So we have 2 hits. That is enough to deal a second hit. Well, I forgot to put the first hit out. So we will put 2 damage cubes out on this bomber. Remember that we need a total of 3 hits to bring him down, or 3 damage points to bring him down. And that is the end of our combat. We are now going to have, for the first time in this game, we're going to have German counterattack by the German escort fighters. Okay, so as you know from before, the 109 has 2 red dice. So we're going to have to roll them for the counterattack. Ooh. Okay, so we will take a closer look now at the dice. So all of the German ones have these, let's see if I can get my camera to focus, have these small propellers. And those are used in the counterattack. And you can see that this one has none on that side, which we rolled, so that is a failed one. However, this one has one with 4 propellers. So that's a hit. And we can avoid these by playing action cards, which also has 4 of those propellers. However, my wingman is out of cards, and my leader only has he actually has a joker, and he has one with 1 propeller. Let me bring these closer. I'm not gonna scan these and show them to on the screen. So this one could block a hit with a 1 propeller. Let's see if we can find one of those. That's one of those. But this is a joker. So the joker, I'm assuming, can block any propeller. So I'm discarding that card and ignoring that hit. And if I would not have done that, that means I would have taken both of my planes. All of the planes in this area would take 1 hit. All of the ally planes, even in multiplayer. So that would be 2 hits, a total of 2 hits, 1 each, and that would be bad. So luckily we avoided that. And one thing more before we move on, again, don't forget to decrease the ammo. So my poor wingman now only has 1 point of ammo left. So we're getting closer to the end now, but we're not quite there yet. The Germans now have done their counterattack, so now they will go to their movement phase. The fighters will always stay with the bombers. However, the bomber cannot move because he has 2 maneuver tokens, so he will simply shake 1 off, and he has 1 remaining. That means he will not be able to move in the next turn either. He also, take note, he also has 2 hit points, so only 1 more point of damage is needed to bring that big bird down. Now we're gonna go ahead and increase the turn track to 4, and that means we get to draw some new cards, which is very needed. We draw 1 for our wingman, and then for our leader we will use his ability, so his pilot portrait is going to stay turned, and because of that we're going to draw, instead of 3 cards, we're going to draw 4 cards. And let's see, our current ammo is 1, so we have a hand size of the standard 3 plus 1 for the ammo plus 1 because of our pilot ability, so that is a hand size of 5. So we have 5 cards. We don't need to discard any of the cards that we just drew. Okay, so now we are starting the turn in an area with Germans, and that means that we cannot leave that. We don't want to leave the area anyway, but I'm just telling you because you need to know the rule. We cannot leave the area without having to spend additional movement points or maneuver tokens, which I saved the last round, because there is an unengaged German fighter in that area. Anyway, we're not going to have to do that now, but just so you know, we are going to be in the next video most probably in a situation like that. Any of these maneuver tokens that you have on your pilot cards will be spent at the end of the maneuver phase. So we now go to the battle phase, and I am going to go ahead and engage the 109 with my leader and the bomber with my wingman. So let's start with my leader versus 109, and that's going to be the first combat. And before we do that, we are going to put our ammo down at 0. And that means this is the last round of combat that I can do without having to go back to one of the airfields, Biggenhild and Norholt, to resupply. So if we don't bring that bird down now, we're going to have a bit of trouble. But I think we can do it. Okay, so my leader here is engaging the 109. So you know the deal. The 109 has 2 red dice, and I, because I've used my pilot ability, can only play with 2 blue ones. So let's go ahead and roll. Okay, I was hoping for a hit because I want to bring this guy down, but we got to avoid instead. Let's see if I can do something with my cards. Okay, so I'm just simply going to put this card, and we will ignore the ability. I'm not going to use that with my first avoid. So I will do 1 hit. So I put one of my damage markers on the 109, and I will avoid his hit because I have the avoid symbol. So we're going to go ahead and re-roll for the German. This time he gets a better result, but I think I can still take him. Let's see here. I have another action card with a hit symbol, and I will play the avoid again. So now I have 2 hits. Sorry, this should be played like this. So now I have 2 hits and 2 avoid, so his attack is useless, and he blocks 1 damage, but he cannot block the second damage, and that means, my friends, the BF 109 is down, and that also means that we only now have 1 plane remaining, and that's a crippled bomber, which also has a maneuver token on him. So let's see if my wingman can manage to do 1 point of damage, because that's his last point of damage. So the bomber, if you can remember, have only 2 black die. My guy is going to be reckless. He's going to play with the yellow 1. So this could be hurtful, but it could also be awesome. So let's do it. I was a little bit nervous there. Okay, so we will play this action card. We are going to ignore the ability. We don't need to use that. And I'm going to play the yellow 1 and use that as a hit. And that means the German gets 1 blank, 1 hit. I ignore the hit because of my avoid symbol. And then I do 1 hit, which he cannot ignore. And that is the 3rd hit, because as you can see, this guy has 2 damage tokens. That is the 3rd hit. And that is this bird down. He's dead. And that, my friends, means we have accomplished the last part of our mission, which were to bring down 2 of these. And we have also eliminated all of the Germans in the area. So no more Germans are going to come. So we don't have to care about Rochester, which is the German objective of this game. Well, both of my pilots have 0 ammo. My leader has 1 hit, and that has taken away his free movement. So I gotta say, it was really in the end of times. So really cool situation. We managed to do it. I would have cried if I would have lost the training mission. And like I said, guys, stay tuned, because I am going to do the next mission as well, where we are going to get to see some events happening. We're going to also get to see some other, the standard type of deployment, instead of just putting out the predetermined type of German Luftwaffe planes. I might have done some error. I really tried my best to. I've read the rules so many times, man. Whew. And I've scoured the Boardgame Geek forums, and I've spoken to the designer. So I really hope I didn't do an error. But in case you saw an error, it would be really cool if you could comment in the video and let everybody know. So in case you're watching this video to learn how to play the game, I do recommend you to go ahead and look at the comments, because that's where you're going to be able to catch any errors I do, so you don't learn the game the wrong way. I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you turn back to yeah, use this one. Come back and look at my next video. Go ahead and subscribe. That would mean a lot. Okay guys, stay safe out there. See you next time.